Welcome to the Freedom Property Podcast, the modern real estate brand empowering excellence.
Don't ask me about my freedom.
What is going on? We are back. Aimon, it's the podcast show.
Yeah, we're back again. How we doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How'd you feel about the first couple of episodes?
Yeah, good. It's
Yeah?
gonna be a good podcast, I reckon.
I got some good feedback, you know, like I said in the last few, it's hard to fake a podcast. So hopefully we're being ourselves and hopefully people that are listening in are enjoying it. And it's a bit of fun for us, eh?
Yeah, for sure.
So today I thought might offer a bit of value to the audience and let's talk about leads.
Sweet. Well, yeah, I suppose to kick it off, like what's a lead, Josh?
Well, in my opinion, your leads are the most important thing in your business. Okay, so now all day, every day, as real estate agents, we are getting people contact us. They're either going to flick us an email, they're going to give us a call, and they might even come to an open home. And these are leads. And this is the most important thing in my business. It's all about capturing leads, like capture.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want anybody entering your lives and you don't know who these people are.
Yeah, and you have no idea like what they actually have to offer as well. Like you meet someone at the open home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
like who is it that actually handles your leads? Is it you just like talking to all these buyers or?
So no, look, it's in my business, and obviously depending on where you're at with your business, it's you may be doing all of these things yourself. And today we're just going to focus on leads, but I've got a lead qualifier who answers my phone, you know. So how I explain it to my team, it's like we're a restaurant, okay? And these leads are going to walk into our restaurant and they're going to sit down and they're going to have a look at our menu. They're going to maybe call us. They're going to look on realestate.com and they're going to flick us an email. And we need to figure out who these people are, you know. So my lead qualifier all day, every day is sieving through the leads and they're, you know, asking them, you know, what they would like to drink, what they like the look of on our menu, and figuring out where they're at on their journey and then putting them into the right stage. You know, if they're a buyer, they're in a certain stage. If they're a seller, they're in a certain stage. So yeah, leads are so important, so important to your business.
Yeah, there's literally nothing worse than like you're so hungry, you go to a restaurant, you know, you made a reservation, you sit down and you're just looking around trying to catch a waiter's attention, like, hello, we're here, you know, it's like, and then if you don't get service, like.
Seriously, yeah, and that's what I see, you know, like, and sometimes, you know, that waiter will come over to you and say, oh, hello, you know, welcome to Freedom Property, and yeah, would you like to eat anything off our menu? And the customer might think, no, I'm not ready to pick anything off the menu yet, and you're like, all right, see you later.
And then so what do like leads actually get after that, you know?
Yeah, well, this is where a lot of people are, you know, a lot of agents I see fall down on this. You know, this is the most important thing in your business. So if you can handle the lead well from the start, the odds of you getting their listing down the track or selling them a property is going to increase dramatically. Because when you're a buyer in the marketplace, that's all people ask you. They're like, how's your house hunting going? You know, you just bought a house and that's probably something that your family and friends were saying to you, like, you bought anything yet? How's it going?
Yeah.
What would your response have been?
No, not yet. It's pretty wild out there at the moment.
Seriously. And you probably didn't get too much help.
No, not really. It's just like, yeah, general interest, I suppose. And even from agents out there, like in the field, because I obviously know like this is how you run your business and I'm expecting them to ask me about a listing, but they just, you know, weren't really following up too crazily. So
that's the biggest thing that I see. It's like these buyers are floating around and they need help, you know, so they want this service. But if we don't qualify them well at the start, if we don't capture these details and figure out who these people are, then it's very, very hard to service them down the track. So we'll talk about the buyer management side in another podcast, but this is all about leads and capturing your leads and who captures them and what we do with them. All right. So these leads are going to come in. So agents, if you're listening to this, capture. If you don't have like a good capture app, then figure that out. We're lucky enough to be a part of the property platform. So we've got a really good capture app. And, you know, anybody that inquires on any of our properties, straight away we're capturing their details and then we're flicking them through a content pack. And in that content pack, it's got absolutely everything that the buyer would want to know about the property, like the comparable sales, like the contracts, you know, like the, you know, anything about the property that they might want to know. So it's powerful information, you know, give them exactly what they want straight away.
Yeah. Yeah, and also like I noticed that when I did actually get followed up by a couple of agents in my process of buying a home, and they did have those notes written down from all the times they did contact me, and then they asked me a personal question about something they remembered or had written down, it made me feel really special. And then obviously trust that agent.
Definitely.
And I was like, oh, I haven't received this kind of service before,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, this, whoever is the lead qualifier in your business, real estate agents, obviously we're talking to you right now, whoever is the lead qualifier in your business, and that might be you, but if it is your lead qualifier, they need to really understand their role, and they need to make sure that they're saying to the buyers that are out there that are inquiring that this is what they do all day, every day. They're capturing leads, and they're trying to figure out exactly where they're at on their journey so that we can put them into the right stage so the right person can help them out. So obviously in our team, we've got buyer managers. So the lead qualifier would say, well, listen, I've put you into a certain stage, which means that a buyer manager is going to call you once a week. The hotter you get, the more calls you're going to get from our buyer managers. If they have a house to sell, and they would leverage me through the door. So they would say, look, Josh deals with all of our best sellers, so he would be in touch with you. So it's about being business people rather than salespeople. So leads are so important. If the lead qualifier, or if it's you as an agent and you're capturing leads, if you're running the buyers and you're doing the listing calls, you just need to make sure you make the most of your leads, because these are free as well. These are free leads. They're contacting you. And
also just the frame of that, if a buyer manager told me that, yep, I know that you want to speak to Josh, but you're not ready to speak to Josh, just that frame, I'd be like, oh, I would just immediately respect, even if I didn't know anything about business, I'd be like, oh, these guys know what they're doing. No worries, I'll get to it when I get to it.
It's so important. And that's how I've built my team. It's putting everybody into a certain role, everyone understanding their role, and then eventually when they're ready then to become their own salesperson, they do it all themselves. But then when they're ready to start building their team, maybe they add a buyer manager first, maybe they add a lead qualifier second, and then they build their team that way, and that's how I built my team, and it works.
So it's Saturday morning, 10 a.m. I walk through an open home, meet you, and then go to 2 other open homes after that. When should I expect to hear from you or your buyer manager?
Yeah, well, obviously, if we have captured you at the property, which is what we do, you would automatically receive an email from us, which would ask you some questions about the home from the seller. So automatically, we're going to impress you by asking you some really good questions about the home. Then also, you can actually fill out the feedback for us, and we can just convert that if we want the seller to see it, or we can get in there, ring them, and then update the requirements as we go. But on Saturdays, it's such an important day. So anybody that comes through an open home, the lead qualifier straight away is going to be sitting at the office all day Saturday. So they're going to leave the open home. The lead qualifier is going to call them. Oh, you've just been through this open home. Can I get some feedback on that? We've also sent you an email. It's also got the content pack in there. In the content pack, it's got everything you want to know about the property. There's an offer form in there if you'd like to make an offer, just giving them everything they need. But obviously Saturday, if you're meeting 50, 60, 100 people, it's very hard to get through those calls as a lead qualifier. So that there and then is maybe not when they would qualify that lead. They would say, listen, I'm going to give you a call early next week. Then they would log that call on that buyer. Then they would, the following week, they would dive into that that lead right now, and they would update their buying opportunity, and they would create the buying opportunity, and they would put that buyer into the right stage, and then we would help them from there. All right. So yeah, it's
and then so anyone that kind of comes into where you've got that written down and can see exactly where that buyer is up to.
100%. And then that's so transparent. As a business, I want to know that anybody that's walked into my restaurant, 1, we know who they are. 2, we know what they like. So sometimes the lead qualifier might leave a message for this person, but they'll still sit in leads because we need to figure out who they are. Leave another message, leave another message, leave another message. I want them out of leads. I want them qualified. So you just keep leaving them messages. Maybe on the 5th message, the lead qualifier would say something to them like, we tried to help you, we've rang you 5 times now. Obviously, you're not really that interested in eating at our restaurant.
To their house and knock on their door or anything
Well, that's it. But the key is making sure that they understand that we've tried to help them.
Yeah.
Usually what happens on that 5th phone call is that they ring back and they say, oh, look, sorry, I haven't been ignoring you guys. I'm just not quite ready to make a move on anything yet. And you say, oh, okay. Is that because you haven't sold your place, is it? And they're like, yeah. So now you see that phone call that you could have just kept doing potentially would have led to a listing.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, it's about, I think sales is all about obviously you got to handle them well from the start, but then I think that people want to know like that you're running a business, and if that business is hungry and keen enough, you're going to get the listing down the track.
And again, so like bring it back to my experience, like buying happened so many times where I'm like talking to the lead agent at the open home and they're like, oh yeah, we'd try and get back to you on Monday or something. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm expecting you to call me on Monday because you've managed my expectations and you said you'd do that. Tuesday afternoon, they call back like, oh yeah, you didn't get it, by the way. I'm like, okay, cool. Like you didn't, I would never list my home with you because you lied to me about, like you didn't manage my expectations accordingly. So that's impressive that you actually, same day, like that didn't happen to me once.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. Well, that's the easiest thing that you can do is get back to leads quickly. Like if a lead qualifies, walks into your restaurant, if you walked into a restaurant, you'd expect a waiter to come over straight away, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So if they've inquired on one of your properties, then get back to them quickly.
Yeah.
And then ask them some good questions, move them into the right stage. So, create buying opportunities on them and, let your buyer managers work them from there. Or if you're running the whole business like yourself, if you're a single agent, then at least you know who your hottest buyers are. You'll know that all your leads are qualified and you'll know the future sellers that you've got coming on. So this will all just come together nicely for you.
Sweet. So it sounds like you interact with a lot of leads in your business. Like, do you also pay for leads through digital marketing on top of that, or?
Yeah, look, I do because I qualify all of my leads. So I would love more leads. Like to me, like any lead coming into my business is just like gold. So obviously I want more leads, the better, but I wouldn't go and pay for more leads if I didn't handle the ones in my system perfectly straight away. Like, why do I need more people I'm not going to handle perfectly? You know what I mean? That's what I see that so many real estate agents, like they're just going out there and paying like a digital marketer, like a couple of $1,000s a month, for instance, and they're getting more leads that probably these leads are already in their database. They just failed to ring them, or they've failed to really show that that passion or that enthusiasm to get their details when they inquired on a property 2-3 months ago, and this buyer is just sitting in their system, or even worse, on a note on their desk, or even worse, they didn't even capture their details when they rang them 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And now you've just paid to get them back. Like, what?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense to me, So for sure, there's definitely a place for digital marketing. I absolutely love the digital marketers and what they can do for you. But like, if you just handle the leads that are inquiring on all your properties really, really well, and you take a bit of time when the buyers inquire on property, like you're going to get more listings naturally.
Way more. Yeah, I've seen it happen obviously with you, but also with a lot of agents around here. And then, if you know that there's a potential listing there, you just like nurture them. And even if you know that it's in a year, if it's like a $1 or $2 million listing, I notice, you have, your parents go around dropping presents off kind of thing. And, the second, like when we're actually shooting the property, they're like, oh, I was always going to go with you because, I trusted you because you just treated me well. Like,
yeah, like it's it's if you handle the lead well, like if you handle that lead perfectly from the start, you then know if they've got a house to sell. You know how hot of a buyer they are. Then you know that your buyer managers are up to date with them on their journey. You know they've got a house to sell, so you know what you need to do in order to get them motivated to list with you. Sometimes they're a listing opportunity and a buying opportunity. So I've got my buyer managers ring them on the buying side. I'm ringing them on the listing side. I've got my lead qualifier that's handled them perfectly here. So it's just like trying to run like the perfect team, I guess, and not missing anybody. Like people say like, oh, how do you handle like, that many inquiries? You got that many listings. How do you handle them? Well, you put on another lead qualifier. You put on another buyer manager. If you want to make more money, handle your leads better. Create more buying opportunities. The more buying opportunities you create, the more listing opportunities you will create. Because the amount of listings that you can get off buyers, like buyers, they won't tell you straight away that they've got a house to sell because they don't trust you yet. So if the lead qualifier didn't realize that they had a house to sell, then they are going to just create the buying opportunity. Then the buyer managers are going to ring them every single week and they're going to be asking them, how's the sale of your place going? I've sent you a few properties now. You haven't pulled the trigger on anything yet. Is there a reason for that? Oh, maybe because you haven't sold your house? Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to get Josh to call you. You see what I mean? This is just how we run our business, all right? So we're not the experts. There's people out there that are selling more property than me, but, this just works for me. Like, and it takes away a lot of stress and a lot of headache because everyone knows their role, but today we're talking about leads.
Yeah.
So, like focus on your leads, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
If you're out there and you are wasting these phone calls that are coming into you every day because you're busy and you're at a restaurant or something on a Saturday afternoon, and that person that you just didn't take their details on and just didn't handle perfectly, like they could have had 10 houses to sell over the next 10 years.
Yeah. And they'll list them with Josh instead. So,
well, let's hope so. Yeah, let's hope so. But
so yeah, that's leads, everyone. I'm sure we're going to talk a lot more about leads and how you actually manage your leads, over the course of the podcast. So, be sure to obviously subscribe everywhere, whether you're on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. If you like watching them, yeah, definitely on YouTube. But yeah, that's pretty much it for now. Is there anything else you want to say on leads, Josh?
Nah, just manage your leads well. If they're walking into that restaurant, make sure that they leave that restaurant thinking, I'd go back to that restaurant, Even if they don't eat at your restaurant, if they go buy a house around the corner off somebody else, it doesn't matter. As long as they had a good experience at your restaurant and they would love to come back there. All right?
Sweet.
So yeah, see you on the next one.